And because there are prenups and postnups that quite literally do the thing that protects the men from the thing, I have a hard time with it. Because for the 10% of people who are alimony eligible, they have financial advisors. They have people in their corners who will tell them, when you get married, if you get married, do A, B, C, and D to protect your assets. Why? Because I need to make sure I keep a job as your financial advisor and your accountant. And I don't lose my paycheck when you lose your paycheck.
I kind of wanted to make a point about, the average man fantasizing about the rich man's problems. So I'll definitely grant you the fact that most marriages don't actually provide alimony. So it's a very low percentage. We're talking about close to 10%. That's real. However, the people who do provide alimony, it's like 97% men versus women as far as who's providing the alimony. If in the cases that it does happen, but it's only like 10% of cases. So the reason why it's a concern is because people have seen men devastated, right? And contrary to what a lot of men would say, once they actually lose that woman in their life, they're devastated. There are far more men who die lonely. That's a fact, right? They find way, way, way more men. It's like 84% of men that they actually find who die of loneliness. So it's plenty of issues that men have, loss of their children. That's a major thing. Now you have a custody battle and their assets. And to be honest, it's way worse. If you have nothing to begin with, it's way more detrimental to you to lose the little bit that you do have. Because now if you're living check to check, you're at the threshold. Just imagine what that devastation is going to do to you. You have alimony, God forbid, child support. It's a wrap at that point. Now, what are you going to do? Where are you living? Expenses are getting worse. And when you consider the fact that if you have to do that, but the female, if you let's say you didn't have children, you were just talking about marriage alone, the female would be relinquished of all of her duties if you ended up paying, whereas the man would be still financially responsible for someone who he has virtually no use of anymore. Right. So those are scary thoughts that men think about. If I told you that this job had a 10% chance of you dying, I don't think anybody in this panel would take it. So why would we make a life decision where 10% is it could be a catastrophic failure? That's the fear. It's logical for men to fear that. If you know you have a 10% chance of failing and your whole life being in ruins, then yeah, it's a scary thought. And I'm not trying to tell people that they shouldn't get married or discourage anyone from getting married, but we have to be very cautious about who we marry. We have to be very cautious about what type of situations we get ourselves in.
So the thing is that when I like, I'm sorry, when I'll be quick. There's a couple things because I would be with you on the 10% thing. I'd say, you know what, Trev, you should not go into a job that there's a 10% chance of you unaliving. But if you also told me that in that job there was a contract that you could sign that would guarantee that you wouldn't unalive, I would then tell you you'd be dumb not to do it. And because there are prenups and postnups that quite literally do the thing that protects the men from the thing, I have a hard time with it. Because for the 10% of people who are alimony eligible, they have financial advisors. They have people in their corners who will tell them, when you get married, if you get married, do A, B, C, and D to protect your assets. Why? Because I need to make sure I keep a job as your financial advisor and your accountant. And I don't lose my paycheck when you lose your paycheck. So we need to make sure we secure your assets. And for those top 10%, they will have that in place. So that couple things. And the next thing, and I might shake the room with this, I would like to say, to answer the question, yeah, run away from marriage, y'all. If it's so bad, like, just stop. Stop complaining that Black women are only married at 25% of the rate because we're saving you. We're doing the Lord's work. We're out here not getting married to y'all to save you from the heartache of having to pay alimony maybe 5% of the time, right? So the fact of the matter is, I'm not understanding why you're using our marriage rates being low as an insult when now you're crying that when we get married you lose the money.
Pretty, who did that?
Right.
Who
But
did
have
that?
a guarantee of paying child support.
You
They're
know what
not
I'm saying? Listen,
they're not on that same level when it comes to having sex raw and getting women pregnant, which is a guaranteed payment.
Yeah. No, that's stupid too.
No,
Black
hold
women
on.
once again are doing the
But
Lord's
before
work.
I'm gonna
Those
let
aren't the
Freddie, you
same
can
at
finish
all.
it though. But I had another thing about that. Did anybody actually do that tonight? Like disparage Black women in marriage rates? I never do that. I don't ever do that. I don't even think anybody on the panel left does that at all. That's not something that we really harp on. I'm just talking about in general, right? How men see it. But yeah, I don't see the point in disparaging Black women. If Black women are the counterparts, then that's who we're either marrying or not marrying. All I'm telling people is that they have to be cautious. The only other thing I wanted to say about the prenups is sometimes they could be challenged. The man that was speaking just now, I don't know how good or bad it was, but Tyrese had a prenup that was challenged, and that's why he was in court the whole time. So prenups are not always foolproof either.
I'm still pro marriage. I still think it's subjective based on the individuals that are being married. I don't think we should let materialism and people who are just not experienced and just don't have good intentions. I don't think men need to run away from aspects of marriage. I think there are things that are or can be put into place to protect you guys. And if not so, right? If not so, then I don't think that you should spend the rest of your life assuming that your wife is going to leave, assuming that your wife is going to cheat, assuming that your wife is going to take half. If you've done that necessary vetting, if you've done the necessary building, then I think you will have that necessary assurance moving forward. And if she proves otherwise, then you move accordingly. But if fear is going to stop you from moving forward, then why are we even having these conversations? I thought we talked about that already. It's like if those aspects are going to take precedence and stop you from making that decision, then you probably shouldn't be married, because the aspects of you going into marriage is not to be divorced. It's literally for you to stay together. And if, again, that is your intention and your partner's intention, why we talk about divorce? Because y'all both will be moving with the aspects of the union. So you wouldn't just be thinking, I want to be married. You would be moving. So when you're outside in the world, no matter who you're into, right, who you're seeing, who you're talking to, communicating with, interacting with, you're solid. I think we had that discussion before. I don't know if I was on the panel or not, but I remember, true, it's like you were saying something to that extent. Like if a man is moving in a certain way, then there are just going to be certain things that he's not going to do. He's not going to engage in. And if things are happening within that marriage, it's because there are gaps within that marriage. So again, that is something that those individuals would exclusively have to discuss. But to just make this general blanket statement that people shouldn't get married, like I understand the legal parameters around it. And again, maybe you got to be smart and outsmart the state as well, because they should never be involved in your marriage anyway. Like, but again, that's a whole nother conversation for another day. The aspects of a relationship and a marriage, I would never say not to do that, because we need that. We're humans. We need somebody. Like, it feels good to be in a relationship with people that you can trust. And if I can do that for the rest of my life, I absolutely would. So if anything, when I'm about to land my plan, I would say, just again, if you're going to vet the state as much to save your money, use that same energy or more to vet the person that you're with so you can save your money. I just pro marriage, like, vet, get it together, y'all. I land.
Let's go to Bo and then Mont. And then Naomi.
I agree with Pearl. That wasn't going to be my point, but I definitely agree with her. We That was the point that I was trying to make the Sunday. the infamous Sunday is that why is it that every time marriage comes up, we got to talk about divorce? If men want to be married, be married. Don't be divorced. Definitely agree with it. I get so sick of it. I want to be married, but divorce. Okay, so those are two different subjects. And now you have to shut up talking to me. So anyway, I want us to realize that the numbers for what happens in divorce are going to change. These numbers have been very like male leaning because men have been making most of the money all of these years. I think that we're going to see a trend of that kind of like not so much male leaning anymore. It's still going to be mostly men losing things, but the numbers are going to dwindle because women have more now. Also, I want people to realize how things really work in divorce from a person that is divorced. I got the house, but I also had to pay him money for this house because he owned half of it. He had to get half of the equity. Like, let's not act like women are just getting houses. She got the house. Yes, you got money. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't know what it is about men's brains, and I'm not talking about y'all on the panel. These men that live in this fantasy land about what happens in divorce. I don't know what turns off because men's supposed to be logical. That's a whole other conversation. Something clicks and like doesn't work anymore. If that woman gets the house, you got some money. Unless you made a bad investment. See, my grandfather taught me how to make a good investment in a house. You never buy a house you can't make money off of. So immediate equity as soon as I moved in because I'm smart. Now, and in that case, that man got money. So we're not having an honest conversation because unfortunately, men like to play the victim. These men that live in this fantasy land about divorce, they love being a victim. And so I'm going to let y'all have it, but I know how divorce really works. So y'all want to say I'm losing at life. But I have the facts on divorce by lived experience.